All right, so I just saw the latest Godzilla movie, Godzilla Minus One. This is a movie that was made by a Japanese studio and thankfully was able to be released here overseas in the States. So a lot of us here have been able to watch it. And a lot of people are calling this one of the best Godzilla movies ever made. And I have to say, I agree. It is the best Godzilla movie that I've seen. Now, full disclosure, I am not the biggest fan of the Godzilla universe or franchise. I would say I have a passing enjoyment of them, but I'm not super invested in the lore or learning the names of all the monsters or anything. I know the famous ones. I know Godzilla. I know Mothra and the one with the three heads, Ghidorah, I believe its name is. But that's usually about where my knowledge ends. I know who King Kong is, but he's kind of his own separate thing. There's an American studio that has kind of brought them together, and I know they've done crossovers before, but I think he doesn't. Kong is not a traditional player of this Godzilla universe. But I digress. This movie is more of a tribute to the Godzilla movies of old, before the giant moths and the three-headed dragons came into play, where it was just Godzilla terrorizing a war-torn Japan, a Japan that is recovering from the devastation of World War II, the devastation of the two atomic bombs being dropped, and if that wasn't enough, now they have a giant radioactive, atomic breathing lizard to deal with. And I have to say, this movie does a really good job of balancing character and Godzilla monster fun. That's something that the more modern skewing movies have struggled with. I remember, like, Godzilla versus Kong is a really fun movie, but the human characters are really boring and lame. This movie knows that in order to make these monster movies entertaining, the humans need to be just as entertaining as the big monsters. Now, I wouldn't say this movie is it is an action blockbuster, but it's more of a thinking man's action blockbuster. There's a lot of small, quiet moments where characters are talking about their feelings. PTSD plays a big role in this movie. Survivor's guilt. All this stuff is delved into heavily amongst the characters. And there are moments of levity. There are some characters that are more comedic than others. But this movie does a good job of fleshing out the characters that needs to flesh out, making their interactions meaningful and interesting. So whenever Godzilla is not on screen, we're still entertained by what the humans are doing. It is kind of schmaltzy sometimes, a little cliche, but to be completely honest, I kind of bought into it because I enjoyed the themes of this movie. I enjoyed the message and how much this movie celebrates human spirit and human perseverance. That's something I really could get behind, and so I kind of looked beyond the schmaltzy stuff, and I really liked the themes going in there. Godzilla himself looks great. He's terrifying. He's awesome. He's really cool. They do awesome stuff with his atomic breath. They really do a good job of showing him terrorizing the town. His walk is a little weird, and I think it's supposed to be a tribute to how he used to walk in the older movies, but it didn't really fit with the rest of the way he moved in this movie. But that's a nitpick. He looks fantastic, and the action scenes with him are really good. The soundtrack is awesome. So there's really not that much bad to say about this movie. It does kind of drag near the end of the second act, in my opinion. It was kind of, okay, let's get going. Let's get to the Godzilla fight. But again, that's a nitpick. It only drags a little bit. Not so much that it just makes the movie long. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you like Godzilla movies, or if you want to see a movie that has big action spectacle but still down to earth, relatable character moments, this is a good one for you. I will give this word of warning: if you're not used to watching a subbed movie, this movie is in Japanese. They have English subtitles, but everyone speaks Japanese. If that's not something you're used to, then it's something that you should know going in, so you're not surprised. But it's not something that makes the movie worse in any way. And if anything, it makes it more interesting because we're seeing a movie that was made by a different culture, so we're experiencing something new. So I would say that's a plus and not a negative. but it is still something that you should know if you don't before watching it. So yeah, if that interests you, it's in theaters right now. Go ahead and check it out.